let's talk about how you can use the Let's Roll nursery rhyme to develop speech, language and literacy skills in children aged 4 to 5 years. Okay, so sequencing is a really important oral language and literacy skill. It's the ability to break any event or activity like this down into a number of different steps and then retell it in order. So the way that you can help support a child's literacy development and sequencing skills is by modeling some of those temporal concepts. So for instance, you might say, okay, first let's get the Play-Doh. Next, let's get our roller. Then we'll get our nursery rhyme roller, and then last, let's use our frog stamp. So you've modeled all of these temporal concepts, but also these different steps involved in the activity, which should support their ability to retell that activity. The next thing that you can do is really think about emphasizing any tricky words. So say, for instance, a word like delicious, which comes up quite naturally for 5 little speckled frogs. So you might pick that out and go, delicious. Okay, oh, I hear 3 claps. Delicious. If you do this and you're clapping out these multisyllabic words, you're going to support a child's phonological awareness, but also their ability to produce these longer words, these multisyllabic words. The next thing that you can do is to really support a child's ability to answer some trickier questions. I like to, instead of asking questions directly, I like to say something like, I wonder why the frogs jumped into the pool. And then I might pause for a second and wait, or a few seconds, and wait to see if the children can come up with a response. And if they have difficulty, then I model my thought processes. So I might say, I think they jumped into the pool because the log was too hot and the pool was nice and cool. So just a really nice way to support their ability to respond and scaffold their ability to respond to those trickier questions. Another thing that you can do, thinking about language development, but also very important for literacy, is the ability to make predictions. So what you might say is, okay, so all the frogs are in the pool now. What do you think they might do next? Or I wonder what they might do next again. And again, you can model your thought processes. It's not a test. We really don't want to test children when we're playing with them, but we can really just pose these questions to them and then scaffold and support their ability to respond. The last thing that you can do is really think about vocabulary development with an activity like this. So for instance, you can name vocabulary. So say as something comes up like speckled. That's a word that's going to be really quite familiar to lots of children because of this nursery rhyme. But they may have difficulty actually describing what speckled means, defining it in any way, or using it in any other context. So you can pull that word out and maybe use some synonyms. So you might say, oh, spotted, look, it means spotty, speckled means spotted, spotted. But then you can relate it to their own lives by saying, I think I saw you with a spotted jacket that time, or I saw you with a spotted jumper. So that's just going to make it a little bit more meaningful for a child. And then the last thing that you can do is really help them use that word in a different context, importantly. So say, for instance, they're doing some arts and crafts and they're doing a picture. You could say something like, oh, that looks really speckled. That's a bit like that frog. Do you remember we were doing our activity with the 5 speckled frogs? All of these things will come together to support a child's speech, language and literacy development.